10%, 20% in a week, BIDU 25% in a week, BABA 30% in a week, and Yin 3x leverage Chinese ETF is 100% in a week. Am I late to the game, you're gonna ask me? And all the people telling me that I'm crazy for being involved in China are right now probably looking back and saying, maybe that guy had a point. So today we're gonna go through other plays. I promise we're gonna do crypto. And with all that said, let's start and see where you can still get allocated, because I am getting quite bull targeted. Good morning, good afternoon everyone. My name is Russ, and today our Friday macro update. I promise we're gonna have some nice picks also for those who's not really exposed to the stock market. With that said, let's start first looking at Direction Daily China Bull 3X ETF that I just mentioned. So Yin, just within a matter of a week, did nearly 95%. And that is something I do not recommend. I do not post those kind of tickers because people, especially those newer ones that come to the market and they open the chart on a weekly or on a monthly and they're reversing back time-wise the axis, and they're like looking at the values and they're saying, oh my God, China is just starting to reverse. Mean reversion is coming all the way from 37 up to the previous highs of 600. No, guys, that's not how it works. Those ETFs, you need to be extremely careful. This is like, for example, natural gas, oil ETF, where contango is eating up the significant portion of the ETF value. So yes, despite natural gas gonna come back and probably pump 2x from here, it does not mean that the leverage ETF gonna come back to 2000 from just $10. That's not how it works. Those ETFs have to be traded on a short-term basis. I am warning you, the same thing happens with, for example, our hedge. When we hedge our silver positions with, for example, Direction Daily Gold Miner Bear ETF that is corresponding to 2x GDX movement reversed, it does not mean that you can sit on this ETF expecting it to come back to previous value of 1000 all the way from $5. So this is something I'm not giving you in a Telegram group because a lot of people giving me the feedback. I'm a little bit too advanced for them, so I don't want anyone to get burned, but I've been giving you BABA, I think, at an amazing entry around $72 to $76. Right now at the pre-market we are already at 107, and that's corresponding to a 40% move. Is just since my birthday. I remember we were speaking about BABA in July. You can go and check my videos. I've been giving the reasoning why I'm in BABA, and money do not disappear. Very often people think well, you know, China is in trouble, you know, there's no point, you can touch China. Yes, in a way China definitely has fundamental problems, but there is always the layer of financial engineering when the Chinese Communist Party would understand that there is an extra liquidity to be provided. They just invented this $200 billion equivalent in Chinese yuan out of pretty much thin air to support the macro outlook, the fundamental outlook of their companies and so on. So as soon as this is seen, the profit taking an American market starts to take place and other investors are participating in so-called Momo game or momentum trades. So this is normal, and that's why I'm telling you, if you are allocated in BABA, in BIDU, do not yet take all your profits, or if you are already taking all your profits, it's also fine. You know, after 40% move, look forward to re-enter the game. We are not yet done. We're gonna have more legs to come. This is just the beginning of the expansion wave. We're gonna have a correction and a continuation. My first target of 104 has been reached. My second target would be around 140, and you're lucky if you're given this gap to allocate additionally around 85. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I would personally be adding anywhere between 84 to 94, and if some of my gaps are filled, I'm happy to ride this beast all the way to 140. Similar applies to BIDU. Despite for someone new to the world of trading, it might look like, oh my God, you know, we are overextended, we are overbought. Look at the bigger picture, zoom out a little bit, and then you would understand. I was just trying to break through that downtrend And on top of that, diagonal lines are important, but what's really much more important is the market structure. You remember MSB is something I'm always looking at every chart. Market structure break, we're just trying to create the higher high here. And once this higher high is created, the next step would be for us to accept back one of those gaps. Again, if you're lucky, 90. If we are less lucky and the pullback is basically driven much more by fundamentals and by amount of cash that sits on the sideline of BIDU, and the fact that the company nearly can just buy itself with the cash it has, it's ridiculous. Those moments are not present so often. Maybe we just resolving that liquidity gap around 97, and then my expectations for the move up would be somewhere around 180 for the TP1, somewhere between 160 to 180, and then towards the zone of mean reversion back from the channel of the past, it would be somewhere between 210 and 240. So those are two zones of mine. Of course, nothing goes in a straight line. We can bring the analogy saying that there was wave 1, wave 2, Elliott wave 3, the most expensive, also very often called money wave, then the wave 4, and then the wave 5 would proceed to those targets. And we feel already bringing Elliott waves right now. I also would like to bring two companies that I personally like here. And not a surprise, this is AMD. I did not yet bring it back to the group because I was expecting for us to start breaking out of this consolidation. By the way, I'm on a weekly. So if I just gonna look on a very higher time frame chart starting from 2022, where we were at the levels pretty much around where we are today, and then we had that correction all the way down to 55. You remember when Meta was roughly around 90, where everyone was calling for 10-year long recession. That was the great moment to add into the position. I did not catch, unfortunately, at that moment, but I was catching a lot of AMD around $80 and riding this to that zone where we actually started to break down. And then it was interesting for me to see what's going to happen from there, because obviously within each of the Elliott waves we are having the smaller waves, right? So we had this A, B, C correction, and then once this correction is over, we can also see those 5 smaller waves. We can use them without the circle and call them 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4, this is 3, and this is 5. The subwave within the money wave, the wave big 3 in AMD, that in my opinion is going to bring us all the way roughly to the 320. I put it 316, so you can just cash out, front run a little bit, everyone, and then the pullback. A pullback in this case realistically would be towards the value where the high of the wave 3 took place. That would be a realistic target, and then you can try to ride the wave 5. Normally wave 5 of course is not as explosive as wave 3, but there is always an opportunity to add on the wave 4 for those who missed the biggest wave, which is all the way here, the money wave. And you can analyze charts, of course. I'm giving a very simplified view of the Elliott waves. It takes years to master, and obviously it doesn't work just by itself. There's just a ways of bringing an extra confluence. On top of that, you need to have the macro tailwinds, you need to understand the fundamentals of the company, you need also to see the entire thesis of the industry. But I'm not going to go into details right now. We don't have time for those, for any affiliation that bring together AMD, NVIDIA, and so on and so forth. You can just Google those things yourself. I believe as soon as NVIDIA is doing well, AMD will do well, and I see on the chart that NVIDIA is doing quite well. There was a second player. I gave it in a Telegram group, so maybe let's not focus on it right now, so we have a little bit more time and we dive into crypto right now. So for everyone who is the part of the Telegram alert groups of mine, you guys know that, first of all, I've been indicating it yesterday. For real bull to start, we need first of all to break above 65, retest 61, or maybe higher. Maybe we're going to be front run, we don't know. But we first need to print the higher high. And then we're going to surge back to 65, reclaim it, create a real higher high, then maybe retest, consolidate there. That's what I meant a little bit. And then we're going to target 67. And of course, if you're going to look at the charts, you understand How crazy would this move be for the companies which are related to Bitcoin indirectly? For example, Bitcoin miners. On my last video, just 2 days ago, I was telling you guys to buy the miners. I was seeing this Adam and Eve breakout starting to take place. I loaded heavy positions, 7-digit position in miners. I loaded myself, and we are already 6% up on CleanSpark, gapping up pre-market. So as of today, 10% by the time you see this recording. Marathon is up 9%, gonna follow. Riot, I remember, was lagging a little bit behind, 7%. And for those who doesn't want to follow individual companies, I was always saying, we're gonna make it, VAGME. Enter the ETF and forget about it. You know, they move fast. It's very probable for those ETFs to move to 40% just with Bitcoin giving us an indication of market structure break, MSB. And if you remember last Friday, this is exactly what I've been indicating on the Bitcoin market structure break. For those who missed it, a quick reminder, we spoke about lower low, lower low, lower low, and finally higher low and then higher high. This is what we've been looking for the market structure break, to break that entire downside move that we've been experiencing since the month of March for almost half a year by now, right? Since I joined the channel, we've been always in a bearish move, and that's why I've been indicating this to you. Until that market structure is broken, I'm not so interested to get involved with Bitcoin. Of course, we can scalp those move 5% here and 5% there, and that's what we are doing constantly in the Telegram group. But this is not yet where, you know, you take a loan and mortgage your flat to go full in into Bitcoin. Kidding, of course, but you know what I mean. So what I've been just indicating in the Telegram group, right? We want this level of 67 to give us market structure break, and then we would like, I think this level, of course, is quite optimistic to have. We might front run it, but 61 is something where I'd like to have a retest into, and then I would like to go long. Now that's a kind of a mid-term play, and I've been saying, everyone who's calling me bearish, this is not true. Every video of mine, I've been giving this target for the year end, 88,000, 82 to 88,000. I've never been fundamentally bearish on Bitcoin, and very often it can happen that me and Nick, for example, have different opinions on either Bitcoin or miners, and I think that's one of the benefits of the channels, that you have two opinions, but both are no FOMO, no shill from two people who might sometimes disagree with each other, but they have their own, adequate opinions on topics. And when we have the confluence, that is even better. So what I'm gonna do here right now, I would look into 4-hour chart, and I would like to scale into the short. My short, I see those 3 taps to the high, 1, 2, 3, and now we are kind of swiping those highs. So I'd like to step into the short in this area, and then I would add into my short if we are accepting into this previous range of 64.5, and then I would ride it all the way down to swipe those lows. For me, it looks like there's too much of liquidity sitting there, and I would provide that short update, of course, in the Telegram group. But for you, the game plan is quite simple. You might enter short already here without the confirmation. That is a little bit of a riskier play because your stop loss is going to be higher, and you close that on acceptance at that weekly level, 67.2, 67.3. You are basically targeting those lows from here. Let's point out the short position. Your risk to reward in that case will be somewhat 4.721. That's really good. But if you don't want to risk that play, because obviously the probability for that trade is lower, you want to decline, you want to drop your risk to reward, but you'd like to have a higher win probability. That's another strategy. And this case, you are entering that short here at this level of acceptance of 64.4, and that would give you this type of trade. You're basically targeting the same poor lows. You're entering around here, and in this case your stop loss will be not reclaiming that high where we are right now. It's a higher probability because this is an acceptance trade, but it's only going to be roughly 2 to 1. But 2 to 1 is also good, especially if you are 50% right, 40% right. If you're 40% right, 2 to 1, also really good. You're going to make a bunch of money. So don't worry about the trade being just 2 to 1. Focus on you being equally right or wrong, and you'll get a lot of money, right? So that's important to understand. It's not only about just the win rate. It's also about the type of trades that you're taking, confirmation and no confirmation. I wanted to mention that here because I see a lot of people are missing out on that. Now, super important point, because at the end of the day, it's a similar thing to silver. Like people are saying, but what if silver corrects $1? And I'm telling them, you know what, guys, the silver miners versus silver are already accepted in the higher range. So silver can correct $1 here, $1 there, but the miners are accepting in the higher range, and it will be very hard to catch them. What if altcoins are starting to play soon the same game versus Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin liquidity is starting to spill over into the altcoin market? We don't want to miss that, and not to miss this opportunity. I am feeling it's gonna come soon. We really start to familiarize looking at Bitcoin dominance chart, and Bitcoin dominance is giving us quite easy levels. You remember I've been indicating the red zone will be my point of reversal. This is exactly where we reversed, and then I've been indicating this 58 point from there onwards. It's very interesting how long we're going to consolidate in this range from 57 to 58. So far it's hard to say. That can be a choppy move, and I think that choppy move is going to also be the case for S&P 500. And that's why, a lot of people that are trying to either go long or short would get wrecked. Please don't forget that a lot of people are capitulating by price, but there's also even more people that are capitulating by time. They're trying to buy BABA at 79, and then BABA is not moving overnight into 100, and then they're selling next week because they're fearful, because they're checking their phone every day, and they're trying to see, oh, did BABA move 25% today? No, it did not, so I'm out. Fine. There are momentum traders, but in case you're looking for a bigger move, you also need to learn how to be patient. And this is one of those situations. We're not gonna have a proper altcoin rally until we are starting to accept below that late range of consolidation. And of course, a certain alts would pop out here and there. And for those who've been watching my stream, you remember I've been giving you DYDX. I think has been playing beautifully, and it's just the beginning of its move. We entered DYDX at around 92, I believe 92 cents at my red line. So where we are right now, roughly 16% from there in a matter of a week. I've been also giving BIDU to everyone in the Telegram alert group. I think BIDU have been performing also really well. We entered roughly at around 55 cents at that level because I was expecting that diagonal breakout to play. So we are roughly about 25% up on that. What I'm really looking here at is, let's see, curve. I think curve, it can be a nice scalp, just targeting those highs. It's a slightly, shorter term trade. I entered it yesterday on that swipe. If you just look at the daily candles, you can actually do those trades on the daily candles also. You would see that we swipe those low, and then I would expect those highs to be swept too. So that's gonna give us a nice 7% move, and maybe it's not the trade for everyone. The trade that I'm much more excited right now, which is easier to copy for those who are not easy operating on the smaller term time frames. I think that's gonna be Maker. I think Maker is starting to coil up here. It's fundamentally great project. I believe it gives you a very nice entry opportunity because you're at the very lower levels. We're just starting to break out from this consolidation zone, and the thing is, you can enter either on acceptance above this level, make, let's say, daily close, maybe make 2 4-hour candles close in a row. Both are fine, of course, depending on what type of risk reward you're looking for. You can also go on Till Street and we're on this green last daily candle, somewhat between 1600 and 1660, where we are right now. So your average entry would be at 1630, and in my opinion, you can write Maker all the way to 3,000, considering that we are not printing the lower low here, which is this zone. So obviously no need to stay without stop loss. I don't recommend that. But if you just pull in the long position here, you would understand how lucrative that trade can be, giving us incredible risk reward. No need to round trip. Of course, the profits, I'm always suggesting, especially for the newer traders that are starting their journey, to take profit on the swipe of those highs, take partially profits on this fair value gap and run here, and then maybe take majority here and potentially let the runner run. Maybe that was a bottom for maker. You know, if I'm looking on the weekly time frame, if we really have a good Q4 into the year end, maybe you basically catch the very bottom, and then maker can also give us a really nice swipe of the high. So 4,000. You know, that's why I always keep 10% running, making sure that you are trailing your stop loss. That's another technique that I really recommend using, is the trailing stop. What I recommend here to do is to create an account on Bybit, especially right now, since Bybit they changed their KYC. It's also possible, for example, for American citizens to do it with the Palau digital ID and so on. So there is the ways, and you see, for example, I start entering make a trade. I can, as I said, you know, I can add up to this trade. I'm already trying to get anything I can on those levels, but if I want to be a little bit more aggressive and seeing how the strength and momentum is emerging, I would create an additional $70,000 trade with 20 orders split between 1,600 and 1,650. Let's just project it on the screen. So that would be the zone where I'd like to get in extra. I click submit and I automatically created 20 orders in a matter of a second. So this is something you can also do. For those looking forward to try Tillstraight, I'm gonna be providing the link for Bybit. The only reason I'm doing it because they're giving away this 500 USDT sign up bonus right now. So that's a free trade that you get for 500. You don't even need to deposit 500. I think it starts from 100 USDT. Then you can try Tillstraight. You can see how it works. 500 USDT is enough of a trade to actually even make those gains on Maker. You know, as I said, Maker going to 3,000. That's already an extra couple K from here, just from that free trade. So, you know, give it a try. It's nothing much to lose at the end of the day. My personal position in Maker is quite large, so I'm quite confident that that was actually the bottom, just also based on Elliott wave theory. On top of that, we're gonna have a lot of fun always in a Telegram group. For example, this Micron trade was amazing. Honestly, such a fun earnings play. Sold the put contract for 5,500, bought back for less than $18 just after the earnings reports, a 99.9% gain. For those who doesn't want to play options, of course, you know, you remember I gave those trade during my previous YouTube video, so it's up to you guys. Anyway, keep a link in the description down below. There's a trade every day, and just with one trade, you know, you'll be better off, I guess, because me and Nick, we are keeping the subscription price as low as it was for newsletter subscribers. So basically it's free to join my group. With all that said, next week we're gonna have an educational video, and I'm gonna be sailing around Sicily, so look forward for one update from the sea. With all that said, much love, and I see you soon. Bye.